Blizzard's latest survey is very concerning. Uh-oh, I wonder why.
Do you, dear viewer, believe that Bobby Kotick, if he could, would try to sell you some more stash space in his #1 action RPG, Diablo 4?
I would believe that.
If so, then I have a fairly interesting thing that's been leaked
Are you
to me.
fucking
You
kidding
may
me?
be kind of interested in finding out about.
Are you
now, in
fucking
addition to that,
kidding me?
we're also seeing a few trends going on in the industry. Funny enough, some of them do have to do with Activision Blizzard as well. But I think in a world of live service games, get ready for companies to do everything they can do to make new types of bundles. We'll be living in a world where, yes, you do find the premium currency store that is sitting there, but the truth of it is indeed that the premium currency store exists not to sell you currency. No, it exists to sell whales currency. It exists to make you think that the bundles are a good deal. And I'll tell you what's...
I love that. Oh, this is a good deal. The amount is only $20 instead of $25. I'm getting it $5 off. Bitch, you should be getting it $25 off. It's amazing how easy it is, how effective anchoring is as like a sales technique. It's incredible. Anchoring's whenever you set a price and then you lower it down below that price and you act like, oh wow, it's actually a much lower price than it was. Black Friday, yeah, I saw that clip too. By the way, that specific practice is actually banned in some South American countries. I think Brazil is one of them in particular.
Also, a good deal. Today's sponsor. Boot.dev, their founders are avid role-playing game players. Their viewers of the channel and code Bellular News gets you 25% off. Now, what Boot.dev is, right, is a programming RPG that makes learning back-end development fun. They've got quests, levels, achievements, a global leaderboard. They're continually adding features. And being a back-end dev is awesome because those are really cool skills. But also, let's talk about the beans. Yeah, median salary of $100,000 in 2022.
What?
In the US, of course, you can often get remote or hybrid if that suits you. So Boot is specializing in teaching you back-end dev. It is by back-end devs. They're using Python and Go. The point is to do it at your own pace and to avoid tutorial hell and actually just have a focus on coding. That is exactly what their platform is geared towards. And going through their topics, I mean, they have absolutely everything covered. It's fantastic, a boatload of content, starting off super approachable, going properly in depth, adding new lessons all the time. And of course, this is by experience back-end devs to teach new back-end devs. It is a proper learning path that will...
I've never seen a company take this approach before. I find this very interesting. I wonder how well it's going to do.
Actually give you industry relevant experience and knowledge. A one-stop shop that means you're not bouncing around tutorial hell doing it self-taught where it's just hard to know, like, where are you starting, how are you properly making progress. Instead, you can follow a focused end-to-end path that will have you shipping projects and actually feeling confident in your skills. I wish they were there in 2012 when I was starting out with a lot of these concepts. These are obviously skills that can lead to significant earning potential, and also code is awesome. So
just hope you don't get your job removed from AI though.
Recommended anyway. Now, you can learn to code with 25% off an annual plan using code Bellular News. So, big thank you to Lane and Alan for supporting our shows. With that said, check out boot.dev in the link down below, and let's go. Wow, wasn't that a slick sponsor segue? Okay, let's talk about Diablo 4. Earlier on this month at BlizzCon, they, of course, talked about Diablo 4 Vessel of...
The story. Blizz wants to know how far you can be pushed. Yeah. That's been the story for about 15 years now.
Hatred. And when we look at things, overall, we are seeing an 18-month expansion cycle, which, is a fair amount of time. It is fairly brisk, though, as compared to, say, some stuff with Diablo 3. So, yeah, pretty good overall. And hey, unlike D3, they're probably not going to abandon this one after the first expansion. And
I think that they could run into a problem, and this is kind of an issue like with New World too, where like I think that the base game and the expansion collectively should still only be $70. I don't know what this breakdown needs to be. But like the problem with WoW, especially if they want to add in like multiple expansions, is that you don't want to run into like a World of Warcraft issue where you have like 4 expansions you need to buy in order to play the game. And another game that has this problem, we talked about this yesterday, Destiny has this problem too, where it's like, oh, you want to play Destiny? Okay, well, good luck learning how to figure out what you need to buy. So yeah, I really hope that they don't let that happen. Destiny is like $300. It's actually more like $400, I think.
real talk
that was my
for a
breakdown.
second. Diablo 4 Season 2.
This was
from
such a great
all the
scene,
people that
too.
I've talked
This was
to,
awesome.
and when I was
I
at
love
BlizzCon
this.
in the press room, I was spending time with some D4 people, including D4 people who have been, in Season 1 especially, fairly critical of the game. I was talking to them, and they were saying from their perspective, running their communities, their channels, their, websites, that they genuinely are saying, oh my god. Basically, the thing the D4 creators and publishers say to each other is, oh my god, why did it not launch like Season 2? So
I think that a lot of the problems with Diablo, the longevity of the game, is the fact that the skills aren't transformative enough. In PoE, think about all the different ways you can play Blade Vortex. Think about all the different ways you can use Righteous Fire. Think about all the different ways that you can use golems, for example. And you have all these other ways to play the game, and Blizzard and Diablo, it's extremely uniform. And I think the uniformity works really well for casual players, but for somebody who wants to take a bigger bite out of the game, they just can't do that.
That does say everything, and even now we're seeing Blizzard rolling out XP weekends and stuff like that are throwing in more generosity into a season that itself is fairly generously paced. It is actually brisk. But to go to this then.
Season 2 was great.
Right. Surveys. Surveys are a vital part.
I'm a big Season 2 enjoyer for Diablo 4. I think that if you're a casual Andy, you're a dad, Season 2 will be a great time for you. It's a great one-week game.
When you're doing games at this scale, because you got to make big decisions, and you got to make those decisions fairly accurately. And in a way, these surveys are a double-edged thing. Recently, I was in Universal Studios, and that led to us now getting some surveys. But the kind of neat thing is, you get a little bit of a glimpse into what Universal are doing in the future, even though it all does say confidential, do not share.
Okay,
now,
so
as for this, which yes, confidential, do not share, but it was not sent to me by Blizzard. It was sent to me by a small little bird that flew in my window one day and said hello. Good luck, Blizzard legal department. You'll have to sue the bird, not me. So let's take a look then. Basically, this is the cost of an expansion, right? Between $69.99, $49.99, $79.99, and a delicious $99.99. This is, of course, them trying to work out.
You tell me the cheapest fucking option gonna be $50 fucking dollars? Where's the $59.99? We just go from $49 to $69? Where's the 50 fucking 9?
How do people actually value things, right? They basically get to do, well, I would say A/B testing, but here it's sort of, well, A/B through D testing. Now, hero skins, right? A cosmetic armor that doesn't include stats, with one for every class. And so that's one of the things they're testing. The other one is a mount. A new mount type other than a horse could come with additional features such as gaining cosmetic upgrades for completing in-game achievements.
Cool. Great. I like the sound of that. In-game achievements. Cosmetic upgrades for completing them. That's cool. I like that. Well, that probably won't happen.
That is actually something they have done with World of Warcraft Dragonflight. Well, no, the War Within. Basically, the mount that you get for either the Heroic or Epic Edition, you get them out instantly, but there's also a quest line in-game. When you complete the quest line, you unlock some lightning effects. Overall, as far as I'm concerned, it's the mount comes with some dragon riding races, and it's actually kind of fun, so I don't really mind that. If you're going to sell a store mount, you may as well sell a good one. It's almost like the same...
Look at, bro, we've been boiled so much, man. It went from don't sell store mounts to, we don't like store mounts, and to, okay, I wish you didn't sell store mounts, to, if you're going to sell a store mount, at least sell a good store mount. Fuck, man, this is so dumb. I'm so mad. I think I bought this.
Rule that goes on with some of those League of Legends skins.
I don't know.
It's if you're going to sell skins, and that's going to be the thing you do, you better make them a full retheme, new sounds, new animations, the whole shebang in the Christmas sync.
Yeah.
Also, an instant delivery of platinum, the in-game currency. Also, platinum per season. So basically just being drip fed.
I love how why is 2,000 platinum worth $80? Why? Because they made it up, that's why. If they said 2,000 platinum is worth $40, it would mean the same thing. I just love the value thing. It's and they've got to be fooling people with this, right? How is it this easy? I need to make one of these games.
Amount of platinum per season for that expansion. That's a
Why isn't
fairly
it worth
genius way of
$100?
trying to lock people in for more. Also,
Yeah.
some cosmetic wings. Now, this is where we learn a bit more about how these surveys are done, because you can see here in the $69.99 expansion, no hero skin, no mount, some platinum, no yearly platinum, wings.
I wish like one game would have like a bozo hat that you can buy, and the more money that you spend on the game, the larger the bozo hat is for you. I feel like the perfect game for this would be Lost Ark. But I worry if it was in Lost Ark, people would have bozo hats bigger than Valton.
4-day early access, a functional item, stash space,
Like
and
a
of course the base
massive
game
one.
being included, but a
Bozo's jar,
full-year,
yeah.
4-season accelerated battle
Cover
pass
the
of
screen.
$100 value. And that's the way that they'll be trying to test all of these things against each other. So yeah, obviously battle pass is being included. Is it just one premium battle pass? Is it a full year premium battle pass? Is it a full year accelerated battle pass? Also, they're testing early access to the game, this case being...
I don't get how people care about this. Like, I really don't. Like, why do people give a fuck about a battle pass? Like, I've never given a fuck. I don't get it. Like, I'll do a battle pass if it has like a reward. But, like, I just look at it as a quest. Like, I would never do a battle... Like, why would I do a battle pass just to get a cosmetic? Like, who cares? It's a money cosmetic. It's a money item. Like, what the fuck?
4 days. It's good at least that they're not thinking about doing 7 days. That's something that we recently saw with FIFA. Well, it's not FIFA 24. It's now EA Sports FC 24.
Oh, good.
Also, a companion, a non-player companion that accompanies you in-game, providing some conveniences and utility, such as access to your stash or gold pickups.
Hold up.
So, a companion, a non-player companion
That accompanies you in-game, providing some conveniences and utility, such as access to your stash or gold pickups. Click here to see an example. This is a link to a Lost Ark video. Wow. Convenience isn't pay to win? Yeah, it is. Of course it's pay to win. Let me explain how it's pay to win. You have 10 hours a day to play the game. If you can save 1 hour with convenience saving measures, you now have 11 hours to play the game. And now you have an advantage over somebody else who's spending the same amount of time in the game as you are. It's like, what? Well, how can you think that? Convenience is 100% pay to win. There is no difference. Pay for convenience and pay to win are functionally the same thing.
Companies you in-game, providing some conveniences and utility, such as access to your stash or gold pickups. Yeah, ouch. And the two options here are 1 season before launch and 1 season before launch. So that's weird. And 1 season...
I'm not saying that all pay to win is equally bad either. There is some pay to win that's way worse than other pay to win. Like, for example, Marvel Snap. You can spend money and get the cards early. But you can also spend money and kill people in PvP in Diablo Immortal. One of them is obviously way worse than the other one.
Season before launch, does that mean like the final season of base G4? And also, this is selling convenience. Obviously this is something that they're looking into. It's an idea that they have. Why else would it be here on this survey? To that, I must say, I am a bit suspicious, but it gets worse. There's a temporal skin, that's totally fine. And early access to a functional item.
Early access to a functional item in-game, such as a unique piece of gear or a legendary aspect before it's released during the expansion? Now, this isn't pay for convenience at all, is it? Unless, it is pay for convenience because it's more convenient for me to win. Look at that. Bro, I got the new unique. I got it early. 3 days early access. Yes, somehow this is even worse.
Early access to a functional item in-game, such as a unique piece of gear or a legendary aspect before it's released during the expansion. So
that is crazy, by the way. Being able to get early access to a weapon or like a unique item, that is insane.
Of course, you can have uniques, which are some of the best gear in the game, and then legendary aspects, which are
to be fair, a lot of uniques aren't that great. And I don't think this is like necessarily like game breaking, but keep in mind, it is now in Blizzard's best interest financially to make powerful uniques available only for early access. And it's more in their best interest to make the new uniques that are added through early access be powerful. Because it would make sense, right? So, like, think about it logically. If you could get Shaco early, the Harlequin Crest early, well, a lot more people would pay for that than pay for Frost Boots that, like, leave the Frost Trail.
Major effects on your character. This is the idea that if you pre-order the expansion, which, of course, pre-orders, comes out in a year from now. So what would this be? You just get access to an aspect for a year earlier? Would this be access to an aspect for a season earlier? I don't know, but that is turbo scum that they're even thinking about it.
Turbo scum, I like that. That sounds good. Yeah, it's something like that. I would agree.
Also, stash space. Yeah, 1 or 2.
So for context, there was a guy in my chat before Diablo 4 came out. He said that they were going to add stash space for money. And I said, no, they won't. And he said, okay, bet. And I said, okay, if they add stash space for money, I will buy you every single item in the Diablo 4 store. I gave it a 6-month window, and we're at 5 months right now. I'm about to lose $500.
Stash tabs, and that, friends, does kind of, it extremely frustrates me, because this is core game functionality, and look, you can buy stash tabs in a game like...
It is core game functionality, and it provides a profit incentive to make inventory management harder to do in order to incentivize people to buy more stash tabs. Yes, that's exactly what it is. I would say it's player unfriendly, but it's not unfriendly, it's hostile.
Path of Exile, but it's free to play. No, in a game like D4, all game features are there for everybody, and it's only cosmetics. That's the only way you get to do this. If you start giving people stash space, yeah.
Yeah, keep in mind, whenever a PoE, Conquerors of the Atlas, these new games come out, the new expansions for PoE come out, they don't cost money. You want to play PoE right now, you can do it for free.
That is awful, especially when people are starving for more stash space and they want it in the form of an update. Now, I imagine, and to be very clear, the vast majority of developers on this game will not want this. They're probably ARPG players, and they probably know a scumbag move when they see them.
I agree with him. I do. I think that, like, a lot of the developers are dreading the conversation that they're going to have to add this into the game in order to meet some sort of metric or, like sales goal. A lot of the developers don't really give a fuck about this kind of stuff. They don't want to have to deal with it. They just want to make the game. And also, like, it makes them look bad, right? Like, now they can't talk about, like, think about it, like, they want to have the cool job of being the cool Diablo 4 dev. Imagine being a developer for just some shitty pay-to-win game. It's not as cool as being like you have two guys, at a party. One guy is a developer for, what's a really shitty pay-to-win game? Diablo Immortal. And the other guy is a developer for Baldur's Gate 3 or Elden Ring. Who's getting more bitches? Well, they're probably both at 0. But if they were theoretically, who has more neckbeards coming up to them to say thank you for making a great game? Definitely the Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate guys.
Often it's the case of the people who actually communicate about the games you play and make the games that you play know exactly what's going on. Yes, it may suck for a community manager that they've got to toe the public line because it's literally their job, but I'm fairly sure, at least in most of the cases, that...
The community manager... There's actually there are a lot of community managers. You can actually, there's a way in Classic WoW, you can actually make community managers. I'll show you. So this is how to make a community manager. You need to be an engineer, and you need to have 85 engineering skill. And you can actually make, 10 community managers that can stack on top of each other in your inventory. And he's right there. That's the community manager. Good for them.
That I've experienced. No, community managers really do actually know how the players feel. They can't always say it, but they're usually kind of more...
I've talked to community managers after they were done being community managers. You would be amazed at how base they are. Really would be amazed.
understanding, at least in my experience. Obviously, not always the case. I'm
Yeah.
sure there are examples of community managers, going on tirades, whatever. But anyway, there are some interesting options here. And remember, this is not confirmation that there's going to be a unique aspect, a unique that you get early, and stash tabs in a pre-order or in a collector's edition. It is not confirmation of that. It is confirmation that they've sent out a survey testing the water on those things, because ultimately their inclusion in this survey means that Blizzard do feel confident enough of these being benefits that would be plausible to implement in the game, and therefore are something they could potentially offer.
Yeah, this isn't a code red, but it's like a code yellow. It's like they're talking about it, they're thinking about it. It's a code dark orange. You don't think it's a code orange? Is it closer to orange, guys? Yeah.
Now, the former here, early access to a
Unscripted reply to
functional
your
item,
comment.
you
Remind
may
me
be
after
thinking,
this.
oh, this is a goofy plan. Where'd they get that from? Destiny 2. Destiny is
what a great
so
game.
monetized. God damn
What a
it.
great... Destiny 2 recently has been overtaken by Halo Infinite as a more played game. I don't remember if it's on Steam. I don't think it's on Steam. I think it's on like the Xbox store. Makes sense, right? That's like, Halo's main place. But interesting to know that. An unironic W for Halo. First one since, I don't know, Reach?
Anyway, Destiny 2, yes. Some lovely paying for power.
Reach was
because,
good
you
too.
can get early access to a weapon if you bought the next expansion. So, from the sake of Blizzard, whose game is a lot more single-player focused, you could even argue, than Destiny, this is a harmless thing to do, they may say. As for the latter, well, that's especially a problem, given that, yep, things are better in Season 2, but the inventory
True.
rework is still ongoing. So, the idea of paying extra and getting more stash tabs is
Right.
very concerning.
Ooh.
And yes, PoE and other games do it, but they're also free to play. Now, the idea of an NPC...
They are free to play. PoE is free to play, and the expansions are also free to play. Keep that in mind.
companion giving you quality of life, that is also equally concerning to me. Now, the principle is the same across all
Keep
of...
in mind, I've spent over $1,000 in PoE. I bought Diablo 4. I feel good whenever I spend money on PoE. I don't feel good whenever I spend money on Diablo 4.
these. If you're paying a premium price for Diablo 4 once, it's perhaps a lot harder to ask for more money for quality of life features further down the line, especially...
It's way harder, yeah. This is ridiculous, man. Like, they're spending, like, obviously, it's their game. They can do what they want with the game, right? But, like, I think it's fucking outrageous, the idea that you're going to spend $70, oh, it's on sale, $50 on a game and buy an expansion in order for you to be artificially fucking... Like, they're putting ankle weights around you whenever you're giving them $70. They said you can't run so fast unless you give us $10 more. It's outrageous, man.
The only way to get them is a pre-order of, a pricey expansion at a higher price. Now, it's worth keeping in mind here with Diablo is these expansions will really not be the same Diablo as now. Whenever this expansion comes out, multiple seasons of improvements will have happened. And if Season 2 is anything to go by, they are actually serious about doing a better job. So
You're
maybe
right.
these inventory issues will be fixed. Maybe the weapon unlock will not be particularly relevant. These surveys are preemptive things, basically meant to guide monetization design. And monetization design, let's be real, is a sad fact of a game coming out. Everyone has to do monetization design, even if it is them trying to work out with their publisher at what price they charge for their indie game that has no microtransactions, right?
This is very true. And every game has to exist in a world that you need money. But, like, we're not having conversations about Elden Ring DLC. I don't think anybody cares about, like, how much it's going to be. It'll be $40, $50, $60. It is what it is. Nobody's complaining about Baldur's Gate monetization. People aren't complaining about PoE monetization. People aren't complaining about tons of games monetization. They're not complaining about Marvel Snap monetization. They don't complain about Remnant monetization. There are tons of games people just don't fucking care about. Like, the idea that monetization is this situation that, like, you can't talk about it without getting people mad, I don't think is true. I think that the general public, if you say, hey guys, we're a free game, we've got to have some fucking cosmetics in the game that cost money, everybody's like, yeah, we get it. Yeah, there's going to be some unreasonable people. Of course there are. But they're like a minority. Like, it's not taken seriously. So, yeah, I don't think this is really... I don't think monetization is this big, like, elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. I think that it's very... It's very simple. Devs work hard. They can't do it for free. Proud to support Blizzard as they continue innovating fantastic products that are just plain fun. Just look at the game. Yeah, well, hopefully Blizzard paid you for that one. I think that listen, man, if you think that Diablo 4 is a great game and you enjoy the game the way it is, I'm happy for you. I do. And I think Season 2 is better. And if you want to buy a cosmetic, it's your right to do that because it's your money and you can do what you want with your money. But personally, I think this does diminish the quality of the game and I don't like it. I won't be buying this. Absolutely not.
Like normal thing to do. So what will the RRPs be? $70 for standard, 90 for digital, 100, 110 for ultimate. I mean, who knows where game pricing will be in 18 months from now. There's always room to go up. Key here, Blizzard are not operating in a vacuum. Thing is, though, if they tried to charge $150 for the most expensive version, they would be absolutely brutalized. What they're trying to work out here is...
No, they wouldn't. They'd be brutalized no matter what. Look at fucking NBA 2K. They had the Kobe Black Mamba edition, and it was like, what, $179? Something like that.
What is the most money they can get away with? Now, the hilarious thing is that in August 2022, they set some expectations, and those expectations are not going to be held by this plan if it goes forward because, Christie, who is their Senior Director of Global Public Relations, so this has reached the top set. Purchased items are cosmetic only. Cosmetics do not impact gameplay, therefore players cannot pay for power. So, as soon as Blizzard starts doing purchasables that impact gameplay, they have went back on a promise from their, to repeat it, Senior Director of Global Public Relations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be pretty damn rough. Anyway.
Well, it wouldn't be rough. There would be, here's what would happen. I would make a video about it. Belluar would make a video about it. I would react to Belluar's video. Belluar would probably talk about my video on his podcast. There would be 17 tweets about it, and they would have a lot of likes. And then they release a cinematic for the expansion, and everybody's excited. Like, let's not pretend that it matters.
Here's the point. These surveys are going out. If you get a survey, please answer honestly. And I would implore you, even if you would, be convinced to spend a little bit more money, could you do the rest of us a solid?
And don't do it, yeah.
You know that you're, like, anyone who says, I would, but hey, it's not an incentivized survey. You get apps, this isn't like you'll get 500 swag bucks or some stupid thing from, responding to a survey that eventually you can turn into an Amazon gift card. It's not that. You're getting nothing for doing this survey. Right? Don't just say, yes, harder, daddy, as your survey response. I mean, come on, what's it going to do? Oh boy, let's talk about money.
Oh come on, God,
this is a money
right.
Episode, and we all love a good money episode because there are times where you can feel I don't want to be all like we can be righteously against this kind of thing, but there's a little bit of that, isn't there?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't want to be like super righteous and like really angry about it. Like, I'll make a video. It's gonna be fucking annoying. Look at his face. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna charge you a bit extra for the stash tabs nowadays. Yeah, we just get just a little bit more. Can't we go back to the cost of the game up front and monthly subscription if it's a live service? No, because monthly subscriptions are too expensive. They're a barrier to entry, and they're just not conducive for growing a game. I think a game needs to have a $0 barrier to entry. The truth is, like, gaming has evolved, and you need some form of $0 barrier to entry into a game. Like, whether that is a free trial, like Final Fantasy, for example, whether that is a free game that's monetized with cosmetics, or it's a buy. I think that buying a game and then having to pay a subscription for the game, there's a reason why only World of Warcraft does this now. And Final Fantasy does too, but you have like such an extensive free trial that at that point you've already made a very informed decision if you want to play the game or not, right? So yeah, I don't think that's not the way the market has changed.
It's kind of fun. At the very least, it is us having a fine old laugh as the ship sinks because, yeah, hey, we may drown in the freezing cold of the sea, but, yeah, at least we went down having a chuckle. So, what happens when line goes down? Obviously, $60 bundles. Because what we're seeing in response to record-breakingly bad...
Nothing says microtransaction like $60.
...bad reviews and generally middling receptions is, in fact... that Modern Warfare 3 has apparently struggled with sales. Apparently. Here's the deal from Christopher Dring. UK physical data has called Modern Warfare 3 launch sales being 25% lower than Modern Warfare 2. Ooh. 72% were on PS5, 20% on Xbox, and 8% on PS4. Obviously, digital data will change all this. Now, yes, the digital market generally is 70% of the user base, especially in PC and PlayStation, and the UK physical market is, of course, its own very distinct beast. But even with those caveats, obviously, 25% lower physical sales is that is past what
I think this is like what I said, right? With like it's a sample size. And like are more and more people buying like digital assets now than they were 3 years ago? No, I think if anything it'd be the opposite because of COVID, right? People would be less likely to buy a physical asset back then. So like in general, like if you take what I mean is like, so let's say you have an apple pie, you take a slice out of the apple pie. What's the slice? Well, it's still apple pie, right? So it's a sample. So if the sample size of the sales for physical copies is lower, you could reasonably imply that that sample is reflective of the entire game. It's just how it is. No one buys it, then why does it exist? There are people buying it. There's just less people buying it.
You would expect from the natural year-to-year adoption of digital, at least what we've seen in prior data. Now, Activision do not want profit to go down, because if line goes down, there will be problems. It'll be bad news for the suits, right? And when a line goes down, they've got to make it go back up. Now, those suits are now backed by Microsoft, who will be fairly keen to understand why has the number not went up, and they'll need to do something about it. Rather,
Isn't it crazy how, like, Overwatch doesn't have something like this? Like a zombie survival mode? It's so weird.
Realistically, though, this won't have a lasting impact unless this trend continues for years, and a Bloomberg analyst suggested it won't change Microsoft plans unless the drop in quality continues for multiple games. Because, as you're no doubt aware, this Modern Warfare 3 should not have been Modern Warfare 3. Basically, Sledgehammer wanted to do Advanced Warfare 2, probably a good thing they killed off Kevin Spacey in the first one, isn't it? Anyway, they wanted to do that, but they couldn't because, they had to basically jump in and do this game instead. Essentially, once again, Activision were up shit creek with their in-house development, and what was originally planned to be essentially a big, like, DLC that would bring all of Modern Warfare 2, the first one, to Modern Warfare 2, the second one, along with...
I personally, like... Am I the only person that thinks that it's like you don't really need a new Call of Duty every year? Maybe they're oversaturating the market. Like, because like, so like for FIFA, for example, right? You have like player trades. For 2K, right? You've got player trades, different teams, different lineups, stuff like that, right? So it makes sense that you make a new one every year. But we don't have that with Call of Duty, right? It's not like they're using the latest tech from like, the military and like these guns a lot of times, right? It's basically the same stuff. So they're just repackaging the same content over and over. I think this is like a problem with their delivery.
The new campaign that was basically kind of scrapped, and it was turned into
it's just
full, like an actual full premium release thingy, which is what this thing has ended up being. It's also why it basically looks completely cobbled together, but does have a sheer bulk to it because so many goddamn studios worked on it. Now, apparently, the zombies mode is actually being quite broadly well received by people. There's interesting things to go into there. But for right now, we've got to talk about money. And
Yeah.
even if the number is down in baseline sales, there is an audience happy to step up and spend.
Right.
The store carrying over then from Modern Warfare 2 smoothly into Modern Warfare 3, as I talked about last week in the show, that is something that is different to the past. Because the way it would work is usually the game would come out, the season wouldn't have started, there would be one bundle that would be going to the Call of Duty charity for veterans, I believe, in the US and UK.
Great.
But instead, the store has smoothly rolled over, and good God, it has been absolutely full of microtransactions. Well, macrotransactions. It was all fairly expensive bundles. Bundles that really would target anything you would want. Do you like the X-Files? There's literally a bundle for that.
Spawn?
Do you like Diablo 4? You can play as Lilith. Do you like The Boy?
Like, personally, I think that's stupid. Like, I think it's too much to have, like, Lilith and Anarius and Homelander in Call of Duty. Like, I remember, like, oh, what's your, what was it? Who's your operator? Kevin Durant? What? What the fuck? Bro, it's Fortnite. Yeah, it's copying Fortnite. Yeah, but, like, Fortnite's a cartoon game. Like, maybe I'm not the audience, right? But I think it's too much.
There's Homelander to be. All very weird stuff. Now,
Yeah.
this time we've had an interesting $60 skin that in fact comes in the form of a crossbody sling bag, because this is a sling bag that comes with the exclusive royalty tiger weapon camo. This is a weapon camo. Garish is putting it lightly. Look at this footage. I mean,
This looks like it used to be at the latest Bored Ape Yacht Club event. Yeah, it's like you got to get your eyes checked if you play the game with this all day.
I am sure, against the wishes of
it's
any artist who's
Yeah,
been
this is a sex toy in Cyberpunk.
anywhere near this game, this has been implemented. So that's a funky little thing. And of course, it did immediately sell out. Now, taking a look at this crossbody bag,
Why?
here's the deal. There can be brands, I don't know, like Air, Alpaca, ones like that, who I'm sure are maybe Peak Design, and I'm sure they're working on fairly healthy margins within their industry. But if this is something being done by Call of Duty, I have to imagine that this is basically a souped-up Wish.com dealio. Like, I'm sure it's not that bad, but I'm sure that this is pennies on the dollar, absolutely not worth $60.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, whatever it is, they've absolutely managed to sell out on it, and therefore basically give people this in-game reward that actually looks like a glitch more than an optional cosmetic.
I'm hearing multiple people in chat say that this was actually a glitch and it wasn't supposed to look this way. Yeah, I think that's good.
By the way, technically speaking, this thing is a camouflage. Maybe it's a camouflage if you're in a particularly fun nightclub. Anyway,
Yeah.
I recently did cover D4's very pricey bundle. It was a combination of a horse skin and an armor skin, plus 7,800 platinum that cost $64.99. And basically,
Yeah, you don't get this horse unless you're a $64 owner. Yeah, this is a $60. This horse costs more than the game. A $65 owner? True.
basically the way that worked, and it's why earlier on in the lead up in this
Imagine only having
episode, I said
$64.
that the Platinum Store exists to make you think that bundles are a good value. Even look
They're
at
actually doing the same thing with the Trader's Tinder in World of Warcraft. Because they introduced the Trader's Tinder into the game, they created a value point where the Trader's Tinder makes sense for a person to buy or not buy. So now people are like, okay, well, I want to do this because the Trader's Tinder is like worth this much to me in my mind. So if I can get 500 in the bundle, then the value of this cosmetic is even higher. The bundle is even higher, even if the cosmetic isn't higher. So yeah, this is what they're doing with WoW as well.
it in a game like, say, Warcraft Rumble. You know, in Warcraft Rumble, buying your coins in the little store thing never makes sense.
Yeah.
If you were to buy money, you would have to wait for a timed bundle, and God knows when the timed bundle will come out, which means when they do show up, you better get on that deal right now. That's exactly what we see going on here. Exactly what we see. Because yes, this is a good deal. You're getting a horse skin and armor and 7,800 platinum for the price of 7,800 platinum. What an amazing deal. They're throwing in freebies. Just that. None of this is real. It's a fake economy made by monetization designers.
Thank you. Yes, it's all fake. The numbers don't matter, and it's made up. It's all made up. The whole thing is made up. What is the trend? What is the conversion rate from 7,800 platinum to Shroot bucks and to HEB buddy tickets? And what is the conversion from that to Chuck E. Cheese tickets? Like, because like we've really got to figure out what these numbers are. It's Stanley Nichols, yeah. How much is this really? Jesus.
Over at Blizzard, and let's be real, it's pretty damn expensive. There's a concept called price anchoring. This is just price anchoring at work. We also see this in Overwatch. Now, Overwatch is fairly interesting. Do you remember the $40 bundle that came out with Invasion? And we thought, oh, yeah, I suppose they're doing that because Invasion's a pretty big thing with all that PvE content.
Yeah.
Well, there's a new season that's came out for Overwatch 2. And hey, look, Overwatch 2, honestly, I still have to say, as a video game, I love it. Feels good.
Overwatch feels like a great game in a lot of ways. I think people's frustration with Overwatch is because Blizzard isn't capitalizing on what everybody sees as an incredible game. Like, that, we're not, like, personally, right? I don't know, I want to say we, but like, I'm not frustrated that about Overwatch as a game. I'm frustrated that it's not what I think it could be. I think Overwatch has some of the most iconic and great characters like that have ever been made. If you disagree with me, well, then you haven't been on a lot of websites. I mean, those characters wouldn't be that popular if there wasn't something extremely appealing about them. They're great. They are amazing. Like, the characters are great. The way they do storytelling is great. The world they made is great. The gameplay is great. Overwatch is such a great game. And it's just sad that like, where's the like, why don't they, why is it that everybody knows this except Blizzard? You know what I mean? Like, it's everybody knows Overwatch has so much potential except for Blizzard.
As a product, oh boy, a little bit less good as a product, isn't it? So, somehow they've managed to still do a $40 bundle, even though it's not coming with a bunch of PvE content. And that's because there is the $40 Diablo crossover bundle.
That would be, dude, imagine, man. I would go back and play Overwatch if I could get the Butcher Roadhog skin. I would unironically come back to the game and play it again. I could. I can. But, like, do you get it through gameplay or do you get it with money? Well, that's what I mean, right? Both? That doesn't matter. Like, am I the only person here that, like, anything that you can achieve in the game with money is meaningless? Like, I don't care about anything that you get in the game. Like, somebody has, like, a really expensive, like, Spectral Tiger, right? It's like $5,000. Who cares? You just bought it. Like, okay, wow, you spent money. Gotcha enjoyers? Yeah. I mean, like, and it's like, it's nice to have the characters, but, like, I don't really care, if that makes sense. I just have a totally different perspective on it.
Over bundle, basically the premium big battle pass bundle was the
boxes,
only way to get an Arius and Lilith.
And
the hilarious thing about it, right?
Just don't let people buy
hilarious thing about it, they actually admitted that there was negative pushback to this. They did Aaron Keller did in a blog post that he did. It was like, we acknowledge your feelings. Yeah. Brackets, no changes planned at this time. Yeah. Which obviously, hey, look, even if he wanted to do that change, there is no realistic way that he would have been able to as game director, I believe. Because at the end of the day, a game director's job, partially, is going to be fighting for budgets and that kind of thing. And this right. is, you know, of the take rates of any skin, one that lets you be Lilith in, I mean, look, Overwatch.
Dude, they probably had so many people that bought that skin. tons of people probably bought the skin. Like that Inarius Farah skin was awesome. It's so cool. I love it. Of course people would buy this. Again, the Spectral Steed sold more and made more money than StarCraft II Wings of Liberty. This is a very upsetting reality that we live in. And it's like, if you're running the company, like, of course you're going to do something like that. Especially, this is like a massive publicly traded company. There's like so much, of course they're going to do that.
Community, it rhymes with Lorny or Morny, and it begins with a H. You've seen the sort of art people make about Overwatch. It's the Overwatch community. So if you say that they can pay $40 to become the Blessed Mother, obviously going to pay. If they revert that,
100%.
What do? Do they give people, oh, sorry, we're reverting this, we've changed the business model? They're not going to refund people. That's just giving away probably millions of dollars. I mean, hey, do you remember? Oh, your man who worked at probably millions of dollars. I mean, hey, do you remember? Oh, your man.
You see the cut there? Bro, he popped off so hard, they just had to cut it off. Did you see the cut? Hey, and another thing, he's about to reveal his true power level.
Man who worked at Blizzard, I've forgotten his name, but we covered how at least at one point the Sparkle Pony in World of Warcraft, I've forgotten its name.
Good point.
I mean, I remember what Total Biscuit called it, but what was it called?
That retarded
the Celestial Steed. That like made more money than StarCraft II Wings of Liberty. And you think about it, you're like, Wings of Liberty selling, was that $39.99 USD?
I think it was more. I think it was $50.
PC games weren't as expensive as console. Okay, but at that point in time, they had 12 million World of Warcraft players. Yeah. And this was the first time you could do one of those purchases, you know, for the $15 store amount. So, kind of sad. But yeah, say as both a fan of Warcraft and StarCraft. Anyhow, they did that $40 thing, and then immediately after that, they have the $50 Lee Seraphim? It's K-pop. I don't know K-pop, but it's $50. Where, of course, you know, its very exclusive nature, alongside, of course, licensing costs, will have boosted that cost quite a bit. Now, that's an interesting thing. Tim Sweeney recently spoke of how Fortnite has been able to change its story in terms of its actual revenue. However, its positive revenue increases in its recent resurgence, those, like, the game is doing way better, but those have been partially offset because their increases in revenue have been in large part down to creator partnerships, which of course have worse unit economics because someone else is getting a slice of that pie. So obviously Activision Blizzard King are far from the only publisher who are trying to work out how...
The other big difference is that Fortnite doesn't have an existing universe and narrative in the same way that Overwatch does. So you can add Kratos and the Terminator fighting next to each other and it doesn't matter because it's not immersion breaking in the same way. Like, you can't compare these two things. And it's already a cartoon universe. They did, but it doesn't, though. Like, I didn't say it. Did I say that it doesn't have any? No, I didn't. I said it doesn't have it like Overwatch. And it doesn't have it like Overwatch. It's not the same fucking thing.
To get more of these premium bundles off to people. Obviously, then you have a situation where Blizzard have got to try to justify their purchasing options, and they've even got to do that even in times where their purchase options seem to be hurting the game rather than help them. And that brings me back to my traditional stomping ground, World of Warcraft, that, listen, as a game, as a value proposition, is essentially better than it has been in years. Stuff's really looking...
Bellior was right about this. The World of Warcraft value proposition right now is extremely high. You get Classic WoW, you get Wrath of the Lich King, you get Dragonflight, you can play all of those games. It is the highest value proposition that we have ever had for WoW.
On the up, actually. I mean, it was crazy, even just seeing, like, Preach's reaction to BlizzCon. You're like, oh my
and
god.
Hardcore. Yeah, Cataclysm.
Happy boy. The latest tinkering they've done in WoW is fairly interesting. In a way, actually, War Within is better value than Dragonflight, because War Within is... Some people have said that War Within is more expensive than Dragonflight. That is literally false. All the War Within tiers cost the exact same as the Dragonflight tiers, and the max level character boost comes with the cheapest edition of War Within, whereas it did not come the cheapest edition of Dragonflight. It only came in the heroic version. But there's also 4 days early access, meaning that if you want a true launch day, tough luck, you do have to buy the most expensive edition. Anyhow, the reason...
I just, like... What he's saying is definitely true, but Like, I think this stuff's super cringe. Like, I do. I really do. I hate this stuff. Like, the 3-day early access.
Thing they've done is interesting, because in a way it is also combating some botting. It won't matter too much in terms of player experience, but basically you will need to have purchased your subscription with real money at some point in order to basically buy
this. People were really upset about this, about like you couldn't buy tokens indefinitely. They asked you to spend $15 one time between now and 2017. It was a completely reasonable request, and it was just a small thing to combat botting. It really wasn't a big deal.
Get it via in-game gold with WoW token, and this is being done in an effort to clamp down on botting and that kind of thing. So for people playing the game legitimately, shouldn't really be a problem. Of course, the question then is, how much will this dissuade bot networks? Will this just mean that all the bot networks are giving Blizz, their $15 for like 1 month before they then transition over to using like exploited gold to cover their subscription fees? Hard to say exactly, but that essentially is where we are at. World of Warcraft having a subscription fee certainly does insulate it from quite...
Somebody says in chat, they say, it's funny to me how classic players yell they don't want WoW token in the game, but RMT is rampant in the game, especially now. Like, am I the only person that feels like it's a totally different dynamic? Like, whenever you have the game that's directly selling gold versus gold being something that you can buy. Like, I think it's like it's literally like totally different to me. Like, yeah, it's like literally like game sanctioned gold buying versus gold buying with the risk of losing your account. Even if it's low risk, it still exists, right? So like, yeah, I just personally, I think that if you can buy gold and the developer sanctions it, so it's the same, but it's not though, right? Because you can get banned for buying gold, and people do get banned for buying gold. So no, it's not. They do? Yeah, they do. Like, and in my mind also, like, it's also like in a way, right? Like, some people say they don't. I know they do, right? I've seen people get banned. But the point is that it's also symbolic in a way. It's like the developer announces that they're giving up. They're announcing, like, we don't care about the integrity of this game anymore. Have at it.
A lot of this bullshit. Personally speaking, it's like you can have two things. You either have a sub fee and a complete game experience, and yes, WoW is monetized via WoW token, and there are store amounts.
It sure is.
The Trader's Tender thing. The Trader's Tender thing, I'm angry about. Not to make any excuses for them. What I'm using as my point of comparison here is just how unbelievably screwy Destiny 2 is. Because, like, basically, if you want character cosmetics, pony up the money. I would rather have an a la carte experience, thank you very much. And that is why any increases in aggression with the Trader's Tender store in WoW will certainly be met by my protracted anger. Anyway, that is the story for today. A fairly interesting one with that D4 survey. Look, these surveys, they are indicative of market research, but what happens before monetization decisions are made and somebody asks you to pony up your money? Market research. So even though this is market research and not confirmed...
look, there wasn't a question on there about letting people buy a level 100 character for $50. There wasn't a question on there about adding a dick slider into the game. There wasn't a question on there about letting people buy a Lamborghini in Diablo 4 and run over all of the mobs in Nightmare Dungeons. So that means that inside of the spectrum of acceptable and not acceptable, there are some things that are not acceptable, which implies that the things that you are seeing on that survey are breaking that fucking, that line of completely unacceptable. Do you see what my point is? That there are some things that you would never see on a survey and some things that you do see on a survey. And the fact that you're seeing it on a survey means that it might be farther along on the spectrum than you might imagine. Confused by the analogy? The analogy is that there are incredibly ridiculous, crazy things that would never be on a survey. So in proportion, this is not incredibly ridiculous or crazy by the nature of the fact that it was included on the survey. Because we can all make a list of things that would never be included on the survey, right? So that implies that there is a decision-making process of what things are realistic and which ones are not. And it implies also that Blizzard putting these things on the survey has considered them.
Plans, it shows what they're thinking, it shows what they're researching, and we should make it quite clear then that we know that the things in this survey, that they go against what their global director, or whatever her title was, of public relations promised to the Washington Post, I believe, in 2022. Don't lie. Simple. And with that said, thanks for watching. If you want to support the show, of course, check out our sponsor, and if you do choose to do that, be sure to use our tracking link down below to let them know that we sent you. That's it from me. I'll see you back here tomorrow.
Somebody says completely incorrect. In general statistics, they regularly add ridiculous options in order to get a baseline. You're actually right. I don't know if they use that in order to get a baseline. I think that, in fact, they use that
I have to start
in order to remove people from kind of like, if somebody selects this, then they're so far out of the target audience that we shouldn't take their opinion seriously. Yeah, no, he's actually right about that topic. So I could be wrong. I really, really, really hope that you're right. But man, I don't think that you are. Like, I don't know if that's copium or something like that, but yeah, you could be right about that. It's called a manipulation check, validity check. Yeah, he brought up a really good point. He's right about that. I'll link you guys the video.